not that far from playing in the World Series. We're playing against the best teams in baseball right now, doing a hell of a job going out there, competing against them and beating them. We didn't get it done in this series. We got beat. But I couldn't be happier with what I saw from so many of our guys.
Welcome back to the Strike 3 edition of the Enough Said program. My name is Dan Barreiro, joined as always by Justin Gaard and formerly huge, passionate Twins fan, Lori Fisher.
Where's the hanky?
Onto the wild.
The hanky apparently is gone. Where did the hanky go, Lori?
It's still on my desk, and I have some at home, too. All
right.
So everybody knows at home, Lori was more than willing and ready to just bury the Twins and go right to the Wild. She wanted to lead with the Wild. She's already turned the page.
I did have Wild fever last week.
She's already bailed on the Twins, and Wild fever is a great way to describe it.
Well, I also have Emmy fever, so hopefully it's not fifth strike we're out, because we'll find out this weekend about those Emmy awards.
Probably just jinxed us.
Saturday night, Upper Midwest Emmy. Will this be the year?
Stand by on social media.
What will we talk about if we win? That's what I worry about. I think we need to lose.
We'll talk about it. No, we'll spend the whole show.
That's true.
Slapping
we'll place it right next to me.
Well, the Twins' historic season came to an end Wednesday night when they lost to the Astros in Game 4 of the ALDS. It was a good run. With the excitement of the last few weeks, does that bring you hope for the future of the team, Dan?
Well, look, we cannot ignore, nor will I, the elephant in the room. The monkey on the back that they finally shoved away, winning first a single game after 18 in a row, and then following that up by actually winning a series and not getting, blown off the map by a very good pedigreed World Series level team, the Houston Astros. The unfortunate part, and I think what made it frustrating at the end, despite all those commemorative prints that I'm offering up at the start, is the way they lost. It went back to what all season, certainly the first half of the season especially, was their biggest vulnerability and weakness: too many strikeouts. The stat I've read was that this is the first team in baseball history to play as many as 6 postseason games and strike out 10 or more times in each of those games. And that's what came back in the end to bite them. In the end, what to me the moral of the story, Justin, is when people say, well, who would be more important to this team? What Pablo Lopez represents, and by the way, he got them to be in a position to be as far as they went. Right. Or Luis Arraez. The answer is both. Obviously, you can't have both, but what you are going to have to add to the pitching is at least one more professional hitter, maybe not as good as Luis Arraez. They don't grow on trees, but somebody who represents contact, who can keep the ball in play. Or else, I think, we're going to get into this new mode where we're going to be spinning our wheels getting to the postseason. Yeah, there were a couple of opportunities where the Twins just couldn't manufacture any runs, and they tried, whether it be a hit and run or moving a guy over, and they weren't able to do that. And I think Game 3, too, Dan, Houston, a couple of times, you could tell they were just rolling out there and trying to slap the ball where the Twins weren't. They were trying to go against the shift. They were just trying to manufacture it however they can. You mentioned all the positivity early on about breaking this streak, getting the crowd into it. Target Field was an absolutely on-fire place to be this week. We're seeing it now. Had some very memorable interviews with fans right here on Fox 9 before and after the games. It was awesome. My message would be, don't waste this opportunity if you're the Twins. We talked about it on the radio. What does this mean for Sonny Gray? What does this mean for other free agents that you want to sign? What does it mean for giving younger players opportunities to come up and be factors? You have a big opportunity, I think, at the moment, given the state of your rotation now, the fact that it looks like you have a closer, the fact that it looks like you have a franchise player. Bridge relievers, too. Bridge relievers, a franchise player that we haven't seen. I mean, he's being compared to Kirby Puckett, and I don't think it's insane in terms of Royce Lewis and what he can do personality-wise. And you've got Carlos Correa still, who reemerged as the alpha that you paid him all that money to be. So you have this great opportunity as a team and as a franchise. Don't waste it by being same old Twins this offseason. Continue to be aggressive. Continue to invest. I know you might not get the local TV money that you're looking for. That shouldn't matter. That's you go to a couple. You go to a couple playoff series, you're going to make up a lot of money.
30 seconds.
I think they didn't make a lot of money the last 2 weeks, hosting Toronto and then hosting Houston. So don't waste this opportunity, because you have people's attention in a different way than you've had it before, and that's a credit to you and the team, but don't waste it and don't squander it. Ownership can use, the excuse is there.
the lack of local baseball money because of the Bally mess, the bankruptcy, etc. It's there for them. They can use it, but I don't know how smart that would be, because if you've given a window into the opportunity here about what can go, how good this can be, or how promising it can be, the formula is it doesn't work just with Pablo. It works with Pablo and, if not Sonny Gray,
somebody else,
another pitcher who be viewed on a similar level, and those are hard to find. And otherwise, you're as soon as you open the door, you're basically telling people we're going to shut it.
Right.
So you have a choice. You can always fall back, and we don't have to spend the money. But then I'd say maybe you bridge that gap a little, and you say, what do we want to be as a baseball organization? Because otherwise, you're going back, and people are going to tolerate it less easily than they did before because you gave them just a little bit of taste of it.
It's Vikings versus the Bears this Sunday at noon on Fox 9. Both teams are 1-4. The Vikings are favored to win, but will need to do it without Justin Jefferson. The wide receiver is out right now due to a hamstring injury he suffered in the game against the Chiefs. The big question, does he even want to stay in Minnesota, Dan?
Jeez.
Oh, wow. Boy.
Man.
I mean,
and I'm
that's
Mr.
all
Negative.
that I'm hearing
Mr.
about.
Snark.
We can't even talk about the Bears game. We got to talk about the future of JJ now. I was not ready for this.
Okay, fine. Do you want to just talk about the Bears game?
No, it's an
answer the question, Dan.
It's an element of the story. The weird thing is, we were talking to our buddy Kevin Seifert from ESPN, former colleague of mine at the Star Tribune, on the radio about this, and I asked him point blank this week, now with Jefferson out at least 4 weeks, you know, how on the brink is this whole thing of unraveling? And he said, well, to be honest with you, they're on the brink with Jefferson,
right,
and that shouldn't be forgotten.
Yep.
Jefferson has been, until this game, wasn't available down the stretch of this game. That part's true. But the sad reality of this team is they're a mess with him. Now, it gets worse, obviously, without him. Their margin for error is further reduced. But they've put themselves, because, again, as much as we've probably harped on it too much, they've put themselves in this position where it's hard to have sympathy for them, messing around with the early part of their home schedule, starting with that first game against Tampa, which is a game, you look at the schedule, you don't know about injuries, but you look at the schedule, we can't lose that game.
Right.
And so that has further reduced their margin for error to where now, let's be honest, based on what we've seen of this Vikings team, and I know, we had a moral victory, we played the Kansas City Chiefs close, so did Denver to a certain degree. Kansas City is just, they're bored right now. The fact is, people aren't going to be stunned if the Vikings go to Chicago and lose to the Bears, who I still think stink. And that's a sad state of affairs for where this particular team is at this particular point in time.
As a former Vikings head coach, Leslie Frazier used to say to you, Dan, you're exactly right. It's exactly where I was going. It's terrible that Justin Jefferson is probably going to miss at least a month. That's bad for everybody. That's bad for business. That's bad for the fans. That's bad for the team. It's just bad when one of your best players can't play. But they've been in the meat grinder because of those early losses. The loss to the Chargers, loss to Tampa. When we got this schedule, I think back in May, I think we all said 3-2 after the first 5 is where you probably need to be because of the tough opponents with Philly, the tough opponent with Kansas City. Monday Night Football, good luck against the Niners here coming up a week from Monday. Yeah, they are absolutely on the brink. In terms of the JJ stuff, I know we have to jump to the future when it looks like the present is not going to be great. I mean, there's still, to me, so many different little hurdles with the JJ thing, mostly just because they still have him. They still have quite a bit of leverage with Justin Jefferson, should they want to use it. But I do worry a little bit that our commodities trader GM is perhaps overplaying the hand a little bit on some of these things and stringing things out unnecessarily, maybe not valuing the franchise guy as much as he should, or getting too cute with the numbers.
30.
And will you play yourself out of a JJ sweepstakes because all of a sudden now Cousins is like, hey, I'm leaving, and JJ wants to know what's the quarterback plan, and you don't have one. There's a lot of different things that can go wrong that do worry me a little bit long term.
And none of those matter unless you hold on to the ball. It's boring. People get tired of hearing it.
It's so simple,
But the fact that they've got easily the worst turnover ratio in football, that they turn the ball over again on their first play, a good play from scrimmage, you say,
remarkable.
Well, again, it's not luck. It's if it continues to happen week after week. It's a lack of discipline. It's a sign of a team that's not very serious, no matter what it says publicly about really becoming a factor in the race.
Next up, the Wild, though. Go Wild opened up their season in an exciting fashion at home.
You've turned so fast.
Where's your Wild terrible? They have a towel now, too. We were introduced to it yesterday.
Oh, well, do you only get it if you go to the game, though? That's
Guardsy, did you bring it?
I didn't bring it, but the Wild have red. What if I just reverse the red? This is the Homer hanky that was
What's
still
their
in
motto?
I don't know what their motto is.
I don't even know if there was a motto.
It was grit.
It lights up, too.
It was grit first for the playoffs.
I saw you on the green carpet, Justin.
Lights up.
You're showing off a little bit.
Remember the grit first motto? That was big.
You can go solid color. You can go blinking.
Pulsating.
You can go, yeah, it's tremendous.
Well, they beat the Panthers Thursday night 2-0. Maple Grove's own Brock Faber
here we go.
scored his first goal.
Yep.
And hey, it doesn't matter that he's from, it matters that he's from Maple Grove, but it was his first goal in the NHL. So either way, it's cool. And goaltender Philip Gustafson stopped 41 shots on goal. He was hot last night. Next up, the Maple Leafs, a Saturday night in Toronto. Do we have high hopes for the season, Justin?
Well, first of all, I'm sure there'll be a nice toast to Maple Grove's Brock Faber at the next Maple Grove Hockey Mom safety meeting, which I'm assuming is tonight. Or if it's not tonight, it's tomorrow. We know how they roll up there in Maple Grove. It was a twin, I think, that said after they lost, and I can't remember which one it is, I got to be honest, the regular season seems kind of irrelevant now. Now that we've had this taste of the postseason and what it can be, everything else seems kind of boring, and that's kind of how I feel about the Wild, and to a lesser extent the Wolves. I know we'll talk about them as their season starts in a couple of weeks, but I do think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be fine. They obviously don't have a lot of margin for error because of the cap ramifications that they went eyes wide shut into or eyes wide open into. But I think they've got good goaltending. I think they've got a star in Kirill Kaprizov. I don't think they're at the top of the Central Division with Colorado and Dallas probably there, but I think they're in that next tier. And I think they're well coached. So I think they're going to be fine. Is it going to be good enough for people if they make it to the playoffs again and lose first round? Probably not. But I think that's kind of the reality of the situation for the next couple of years.
It's probably true that enough fans are aware of their salary situation and willing to hang in. But in the moment, for those salary cap hurdles to be cleared is what I mean. But in the moment, I think there will be some grumbling if at the end of this season they don't at least, again, the bar's not high.
Right.
I think if people will celebrate like they won the World Series if they get out of round one for the first time in 8 years. I think what I saw last night that I am encouraged by, even though it's 1 out of 82, is Gustafson's performance, because he emerged as the big story last year, right? No question.
Yep.
But goaltending is a little like relief pitching, where a guy emerges, and sometimes it means he's going to be great forever, and sometimes it's up and down year to year, hard to say. So to me, that's one of the big stories to follow this year. Can Gustafson capitalize? He got money out of it.
Yep.
He'd basically become the #1 goalie on this team that includes a Hall of Fame goaltender. Let's face it.
Right.
Can he handle the expectation? Because he's in a very different role this year. Last night, it was a declarative yes. Now, that is exactly 1 game out of 82. But to me, that's going to be one of the stories that can semi-save them this year if indeed he can build upon what was a very good first season in which he emerged as the guy for this team.
The other part, if you're asking people to be patient, and they certainly are, and this is now the second time in a decade where they've asked fans to wait for prospects,
yes,
right? Going back to Parise and Suter.
At least.
So what has to happen with those prospects this year? They've got to take a step, whether it is a Matt Boldy, looking better in the postseason, or a Marco Rossi.
Is it Rossi or Rossi?
It's Rossi again,
okay. But
they've been waiting for him for a couple of years. Like, at some point, as Jack Morris used to tell us, prospects are only good until, 24, 25. Then they're not prospects, they're suspects. That was one of his famous lines with you. That's what you got to see from the Wild this year, is the young guys.
Welcome back to Enough Said. The latest Israel-Palestinian war is now a week in. Hamas launched its devastating attack last Saturday as the Israeli military retaliates. Thousands of people have died now on both sides. American citizens are among the dead. This conflict has a long, complicated history, Dan.
The conflict is complicated, and it is nuanced. I will grant that point. The terrorist act that has started these latest wheels in motion, I got no time for any sort of buts. It's inexcusable. It's reprehensible. And by the way, we're getting into these sickening distinctions. Were babies really beheaded?
Right.
Or were they burned?
Right.
Or were they murdered? Are you kidding me that that's what we're going to argue over this nonsense? And frankly, for me, it's almost as reprehensible the reaction in many progressive circles who've had to been have been called out, including in the state of Minnesota. Didn't the DFL chair have to make a couple comments about what the Democratic Socialists of America, the Minnesota chapter, who basically, again, they didn't nuance it. They said all of this was the responsibility of Israel. So it's a double tragedy, and it is rather illuminating, by the way, when progressives like that particular group go down the road they do, supposedly in the name of equity.
Yeah, there was a great story that was basically talked about that. So when the left loses its mind, the ability to distinguish this, then they're gone. And that, to me, that is what's happened. This is not, you're right, this is not about Palestine and Israel in any way. It's about a terrorist group that's looking to wreak havoc in any way that they possibly can, right? They did it the first time, and now because of the retaliation, which they knew that was coming, right, in Gaza, which it is, you've got millions of people looking for a place to go. They have no place to go. There is no real safe spot. You can't go to these different places because there's already so many people here. And we all understand that wars are tricky, and wars have consequences, and wars, I mean, by definition, are bloody and a disaster. But no, like anybody, if you want to call yourself a self-respecting war person, we all understand the children aspect of it and the civilian aspect of it, and how this one goes so far beyond anything that would classify normal quote-unquote war, if that makes sense.
You know, this is to me where too many progressives, I think the term is flunk the test. I want to read you from a writer in The Atlantic that kind of underscores the insanity. Ellie Gormasal, the president of the National Union of Students in Scotland, apologized for reposting content justifying Hamas's actions. 2 days earlier, she had accused the British Labour Party leader Keir Starmer of being complicit in the deaths of trans people for saying that a woman is a female adult. To which this Atlantic writer writes, got that? A politician with an essentialist view of womanhood is complicit in the deaths of innocents, but a terrorist indiscriminately murdering people at a music festival must be understood in context. That crystallizes the whole problem on, we have to decide, especially among progressives, are words violence or not?
Right.
You can't just believe it when it is convenient to you or the cause that's involved here. And that's another whole debate that's playing out all over America, college campuses included.
And with what's happening overseas, there's more urgency to get a new House Speaker figured out. Republican Majority Leader Steve Scalise of Louisiana dropped out of the race for the job. He lacked the 217 votes needed to get the position. Some Republicans sticking with Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, but it's also unclear if he can get enough support either, Justin.
And I read that there's a lot of people that said, we just got to bring Kevin back. That's what we need to do. Like, they have no idea what they want to do. And the Democrats, from what I understand, Dan, are fine just keeping their feet up, right, and going, hey, you guys figure it out. This isn't up to us. We've got our person that we're going to back if and when that happens, but we're not going to. So I think we talked about this a week ago because the story was breaking. I mean, it's a job that nobody really wants because it's a job that's very tricky to get. It's also a job that's very difficult to execute at the moment because of all the different concessions that have to be made, specifically because on the Republican side, they can't get these things through. They can't find someone that they can all agree with. And so you've got, like Lori said, Jim Jordan, local angle, Tom Emmer might be involved here somehow before this is all said and done. They were supposed to, I think, nominate the new slate of people as we were about to go to film today. Don't know if that happened, if they're going to reach any deadlines there, but it doesn't seem like there's any near end in sight from what I can see.
The Republicans have become a food fight in this regard, and it'd be funny if there was not
if it wasn't our country,
because we even had quotes from several Republicans caught in the middle of this saying, let's see now, what did we just talk about the first segment of this part of the show? What's going on in the Middle East? What's the best way to convey you are unserious as a country? We don't even have a Speaker of the House so that we can get possible aid, add to aid, make important decisions, legislatively speaking, because basically 8 Republicans are pitching a fit, saying, let's just do let's turn the legislature into Capitol Hill into Animal House. That's what they've done. I hope that people hold them accountable for this politically. I really do. In the elections now, the problem is there's so many cycles. By then, I don't know if people will still be thinking about it. But as you say, Justin, where's the issue is, how is it going to get resolved?
Right.
Nobody seems to know.
Nobody really knows who has the votes.
If the Republicans don't know,
right.
How is anybody else supposed to help out?
When you have people that have been there for a long time, that have records, that have history, and okay, let's put this person up. Well, they're not going to be able to get the votes here. Well, okay, let's do this person. They're not going to be able to get these votes. I don't remember it ever being this tricky, and it even goes back to McCarthy. We talked about it last week. Really, the only reason he was able to get the votes is why? He gave away almost every authoritative thing that he possibly could have just to get it. Doesn't seem like a healthy way to start a relationship, and it wasn't.
But it was almost like that was the only way he could get elected.
The ultimate concession, it was.
Tells you how crazy this whole situation is. It's insane.
Time for the lightning round. The Gopher football team is on a bye this week. They lost to Michigan 52-10 last Saturday night. The Gophers head to Iowa for their next game on the 21st. Justin.
Utterly forgettable Saturday night at Huntington Bank Stadium. Michigan might be a national championship
They're in the mix,
contender.
for sure.
The contender they are. They might win it. They're an impressive bunch for sure. Gophers have a lot of things they got to figure out before that Iowa trip. Most notably, they got to get their quarterback comfortable. Ethan was all over the place again against a good defense. I think he's better than what he has shown against those two good defenses, but they got to start. It's got to start showing up more consistently in games, and that starts against Iowa, a game that they haven't won in a really long time. And PJ's never won the Pig, so it's a big one.
PJ, you know what he's going to do? Taylor's back, going to be healthy, right?
We think so. Darius Taylor.
He's going to hand the ball 52 times to him. That's his way out of making Kelly McManus get better.
We'll see.
Minneapolis.
I hope I'm wrong.
Minneapolis Holidazzle was canceled for this
What?
year. It came down to funding. Everything comes down to money. It comes down to funding. The Downtown Council, though, says it will be back next year. The event has been happening. That's what they say since 1992, Dan.
Well, is it really funding? How big a funding shortfall can you have for Holidazzle? How expensive is Holidazzle?
You're right.
And what
Look
about
at the setup.
Didn't we have like a $20 billion
Surplus?
Where'd that? I know that's state, but I mean, couldn't we have plucked just enough out to save? What's Minneapolis without Holidazzle?
I know vendors are upset, though.
Come on, man.
Well, they should be.
It should be.
And I thought we already stripped it down the last few years, too. That's what I remember. This was news to me. I thought it was already out.
The Eras Tour movie made its world premiere, a 3-hour version of Taylor Swift's live tour. Beyonce even showed up. The film expected to make more than $100 million this weekend, opening weekend. And look at her. She's one of us. Look at that.
No, she's not one of us. She skipped us.
Well, no, that's true.
She skipped
Sorry,
us.
my bad.
She did for the Eras Tour.
City against Thursday night game.
She did go to the game.
The only game she's missed was here.
Which I defend her. That makes sense. If she wants to hang with Travis, it's got to be in Kansas City. She's got a place in New York.
How many people will leave the theater, or what's the percentage of people who will leave the theater, or 3 hours is a long time?
0%.
Just under 3 hours. They had to cut a few songs. The concert was even longer.
Yeah, the concert was long. People did leave the concert a little early.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, 3 hours, you got to get to your car.
Well, a lot of kids fell asleep.
The best
I think the people
ever.
who left early were the kids. Okay, and this weekend is finally here.
Oh, this is big news.
We mentioned at the top of the show the Upper Midwest Emmy Awards are Saturday night in Bloomington. It is the 5th year in a row. Enough Said has been nominated for interview and discussion.
We've had such a good run.
Won yet. We mentioned a little bit. We're up against some Vikings.
You're doing this wrong, Lori.
What?
You're doing this wrong. We wait to make a big production of it once or if we win.
No, I like letting people in.
All this is going to do is draw more attention to the fact that we're going to lose again.
I like that.
You guys are a bunch of losers.
It humanizes the show.
It does?
You know what? Because everybody goes through adversity in life. And Enough Said, we want to be the beacon for hope.
Lori,
even though you keep losing year after year after year.
If we don't make it this year.
Yes, we have to apply. You got to get up.
You know what award was won? Initials champion. Justin Gaard.
Radio.
And you didn't even give him a minute. I'm the guy who had to bring it up. Come on, Lori. This is not
I'm sorry, where's that trophy? We might have to pose
That's at my desk at the radio station. But I might need my own trophy case if we win an Emmy.
If we don't win, bring that trophy in next Friday and we'll take a picture with it.
We're still winners.
Enough Said.
But you got to keep doing the show. Even if you lose the Emmy, you got to keep getting up.
We're committed.
Day after day after day. That's what, you keep the oar in the water, as PJ.